The extra-constitutional overreach of this government is unparalleled. Continuous and widespread use of governors to thwart legislators. The greatest proponent of state autonomy in the recent era was Narendra Modi, the Chief Minister of Gujarat. We live in this era where anybody can twist anything into some stupid nonsense. Why is review a bad word? How can it be a move of separatism? I don't understand the logic.
If one thing that the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has been constantly saying is that DMK will fight for states' autonomy, and when it comes to the union, it is federalism. We have the DMK Minister, p.t.r. Thank you so much for speaking with us, sir. And the recent, should we call it as an attack or a legal move for more autonomy with the way the Chief Minister made the announcement under Rule 110 yesterday in the Assembly? Why this announcement at this hour?
So first I want to say, as I've said before, there are two things to think about. One is the broader framework of the era we live in, and one is any immediate event that led to this decision. The broader framework is that we have never seen a more authoritarian, more centralizing, more intrusion into states' rights and autonomy government in India in the history since independence. That is not an opinion, that is a fact. I have talked about it in multiple articles, from legislating into state subjects to thwarting the will of the legislature through governors, through illegally withholding money that was already allocated without any precondition and then imposing preconditions on it. In every way possible, this government of India is aggressively political and very little administrative. Therefore, the call for states' rights and autonomy is more urgent and more vital now than it has ever been. This is the era we live in. More importantly, the Supreme Court in its judgment not only gave some tremendous verdicts, but actually through its reasoning has showed us that 5 previous attempts have been made at trying to correct what is a problem, and that problem has been evident from the 1960s. As I said, from the MHA set-up committee in the 1960s onwards to the Rajamanar Commission, and then the committee set up by the government of India, first in '83, the Sarkaria Commission, then in 2000, the committee to review the working of the constitution under the NDA Vajpayee government, and then the 2007 Justice Poonchi Commission. There have been multiple attempts to correct this, and the Supreme Court has relied on all these and shown the remarkable consistency in the findings of these commissions and committees. And yet they have not been implemented. Therefore, the Supreme Court has felt compelled to fix a 50, 60-year-old lacuna. But, for example, timelines for the governor and the president go back to the Sarkaria Commission of 1983, yet not implemented. So, the value of such commissions, I think, is beyond doubt. The fact that they have not been implemented till now does not mean that their impact has been zero. At least has entered into the public debate, into the judge's mind, in showing the consistency of the issues and what is right and what is wrong. Therefore, I think the Chief Minister decided now is the time to take the high road. I'll tell you why this is the high road. The high road is because for a position that we have been consistent with since the day of our birth, we have chosen to take a committee approach or a commission approach and to give it time beyond the next election. Were we just the rabble-rousing politicians, we would not take this to a commission. We would take it to the street every day. For every day, for the next year, whatever, till the elections, we'd keep on castigating the government and saying that this is this. That is political. This is visionary. This is leadership. This is administrative. So we have taken that route.
So when DMK says it's a visionary move, where does its exact autonomy start with the power and where does it actually end? This seems to be the common question that's being asked. What autonomy is DMK is talking about?
No, the DMK is asking for all states to have autonomy, at the very least to safeguard those subjects that are considered state list and concurrent list where there is no infringement of the union. If you remember how the constitution reads, it says that the states list shall be the prerogative of the state. The concurrent list where any legislation doesn't directly negate the legislation of the union government is also the prerogative of states. If it does conflict, then it's up to the president to decide which one to give to. We are not, superior and subordinate levels of government. We are equal levels of government in the constitution. Therefore, the rights of the states have been completely usurped by this government of India, including legislating in areas in the states list like agriculture, like cooperation, etc. So we want all those back, and without trying to prejudge or bias the committee, the Chief Minister has mentioned specifically a long-standing demand of many states, that is that education, which was once in the state list, now moved to the concurrent list, should come back to the state list. So that's the only kind of specifics. But if you go and read the Rajamanar committee report, the commission report which I have, it talks about tens of items that should move between concurrent and state, between union and state, between union and concurrent.
But you are specific about education and finance.
No, there's no question of finance. Finance is what can I say, is by practice. That is to say, the notion of GST and the way this government of India illegitimately withholds funds and leverages finance, these are not already constitutionally enshrined. They are done extra constitutionally. So it's not like fixing this will do that. The proximate reason for wanting this commission is the egregious overreach of the government of India. But the specifics beyond education, the Chief Minister has touched broadly on overreach areas like NEET, like finance, like GST, but not said this item of this list. You've seen the schedule, right? We have not talked about that. That is up to the Commission to decide.
And also, whenever you speak about state autonomy, the only rebuttal seems to be just because you said that the present government is authoritarian, is that there have been much more authoritarian governments, and that too, they are talking about the emergency, and those things are being brought about. How is this government much more authoritarian than that period?
Yeah, I don't buy that at all. There has never been a more authoritarian union government. There has never been a government that has illegitimately withheld funds. There has never been a government that has legislated into state subjects. The period of emergency was a constitutional aberration, and using that time, they did authoritarian things, which the people then rejected and sent them out of office. But the extra constitutional overreach of this government is unparalleled. Anybody with any thought and the ability to read history will not argue that this is the most authoritarian government in the history of India. I've told you, there has never been this kind of continuous and widespread use of governors to thwart legislators. There has never been legislation into state subjects. There has never been unconstitutional, illegitimate withholding of funds already allocated in the budget. There has never been such favoritism in the allocation of disaster relief funds between BJP governments and non-BJP governments in every possible dimension. It is not an issue for debate in my view.
Also, the moment when DMK is talking about state autonomy, the representatives from the same union government claim that this is an act of separatism.
I don't understand this logic, right? Like anybody can claim anything. I'm saying the greatest proponent of state autonomy in the recent era, by far, by a factor of 5, was Thiru Narendra Modi, the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Is whoever it is, I don't know if this is Vanatri Srinivasan or which genius is saying that this is act of secession. Are they saying that Thiru Modi was a secessionist?
Nainar Nagendran.
Then you must ask Mr. Nainar Nagendran. I have many clips. Please call him for a one-on-one with me. I will play the clips of the of the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Thiru Narendra Modi, castigating the union government and demanding 10 times the rights that we have asked for. Then let him respond. Maybe Mr. Nainar Nagendran, because his limited language skills or something, he has not kept up with what Mr. Modi was doing. He was in a different party then. I think he's been 2 or 3 parties, so I don't remember which party he was then. Maybe he's not as well informed as he should be. But if he says it's secessionist, I say it's nonsense. It's beyond tripe. It is not worth a comment.
One of the statements that the Chief Minister made yesterday, he said that this particular high-level committee is going to look into the constitution, the laws, orders and such. And he also used the word maru aivu. Should we take it as re-evaluate or re-look? How does...
Maru aivu means review.
Review the constitution.
Re-envision. No. The notion of every single committee has been looking at that. What was the committee appointed in 2000 by Thiru Vajpayee's government called? What was it called? It was Committee to Review the Working of the Constitution. Why is the word review suddenly anathema if my CM says it? Any reasonable person, the word review means the same thing. Whether Thiru Vajpayee's government says it or Thiru MK Stalin's government says it, review is review. Review is an acceptable word. We live in this era where anybody can twist anything into some stupid nonsense. Why is review a bad word? What is wrong with review? We review all the things all the time. Why did the government of India review the working of the constitution then? Were they anti-national? It's not even worth having a conversation about.
And the final question, sir. So once this report is going to be submitted, the preliminary report will be on for 26th January, and ADMK claims that this is just an act for elections by DMK and a move to actually divert attention.
So why did we not finish the committee by 26 January? I'm saying if I want to do election politics, I'll do it on the street. This is statesmanship. This is visionary leadership. This is on the fact that the 400-page judgment of the Supreme Court has cited not just the number of times this issue has been addressed by thoughtful people of all sides of the political spectrum, and the fact that there's remarkable consistency in the reports that come from all these commissions. There's no real divergence. All these commissions have said the same thing. I asked the same question. Some of these right-wing purists are saying, no, the president is above the law. How can the president be above the law? Why did we fight for independence? Even in the United Kingdom, the king has no choice but to sign off on the bills passed by parliament. The last time the king tried to withhold assent and it led to riots was in 1706 or something like that. So in a monarchy on paper, even there the king doesn't have the right. Why is it that we should in India have a president, any president, who has the right to do anything they want, not subject to judicial review at all? Makes no sense. Why did we fight for independence? Did we want to replace a king in London who's hereditary with an appointed president who is beyond any accountability, any justiciability, any judicial review, anything? Is that what we fought for independence for? Who gets to appoint such a person? Is that person God? What are we creating here?
So as a reply, a fun question is that this is not a move of separatism, is what DMK says, right?
How can it be a move of separatism? I don't understand the logic. Why did the government of India set up committees to look at it? Was the Sarkaria Commission an act of separatism? Was the Justice Poonchi Commission an act of separatism? It is beyond stupidity. Every commission is there with an intent to improve the working of the government for the benefit of the people. Just because somebody says so doesn't mean it is secessionist. They are idiots. That's all it means. What was the Sarkaria Commission? What was the Poonchi Commission? What was the committee to review the working of the constitution set up by Thiru Vajpayee? What was the committee set up in 1966 by the Home Ministry to look at the Administrative Reforms Commission? Were they all secessionists? Were they all trying to break the country? Why is it that those commissions are considered in national interest and this commission is considered secessionist?
Thank you so much, sir. That was p.t.r. Tyagarajan, who very clearly mentions that this is an act of statesmanship and this is to make progress for the nation. Divya, from Madhav, for today.